we know that we are incapable right now of generating as much energy on these islands as we need to supply our own needs. We're going to have to find the deficit some way, and it still seems like the way to do that is gas. And if it's not gas, then it might be something like nuclear.
I think it doesn't make any sense in the world that we're in and the disaster that we're heading straight for, with our eyes very wide open in terms of the science of climate change, to invest in any more fossil fuel infrastructure. It makes no sense at all.
And that, folks, is Paul Murphy, an eco-socialist elected representative to the Irish Parliament for Dublin Southwest, telling you that he doesn't care if you're going to freeze your ass off this winter. He doesn't care if you're going to pay twice, 3 times what you're currently paying for gas. He doesn't care. It's not worth investing in fossil fuels. He doesn't care that we haven't, according to Hugh Hendry, the hedge fund manager, in an interview in recent days, doesn't care that we haven't built an oil refinery in the west of the Suez for 40 years. That's right, we haven't invested in a single oil refinery in the West for 40 years. And we have refining problems and we have critical shortages. But no, it's not worth investing in fossil fuels, he says. It wouldn't be so bad if it was just Paul Murphy, the eco-zealot, but he's also got Eamon Ryan, who's a minister in the Irish government, also agreeing with this proposition, doubling down on opposition to taking the highly expensive American LNG, and he thinks the focus should be on wind, wave and solar energy. These folks are absolutely bat, S-H-Y-T, C-R-A-Z-Y. They don't even understand the words energy security. So what happens if it gets very overcast and we have a high pressure area sits in over the North Atlantic for 2-3 months and all the waves die down and the wind dies down and it's slightly overcast? Our society implodes. These people are bat, S-H-Y-T, crazy. Listen to Paul and what he thinks the solution is then if we're not going to increase energy to fill the gap. Listen to his solution to the problem.
We need to have a program in this country of reducing energy usage.
You think, Paul? Really? Well, we're going to have energy reduction programs. They're automatic. You don't have to implement them whatsoever. Your own constituents are going to be implementing them this winter. They're going to be sitting there implementing energy reduction strategies because they've no money, because the smart meter on the wall has gobbled all their money at an exorbitant rate and they've none left and they're sitting there freezing. So you're going to get your energy reduction. Also, all the businesses that are going to go out of business because they can't access energy at the right price in order to even sell their products domestically or internationally, they're going to go out of business too. Their shops are going to be shuttered, their warehouses closed. You're going to get what you want, Paul. Your dream's going to come true. Except now people are seeing the real price of this lunacy. We are in this mess because of people like you. But before we go even one moment further, I'd like you to take a look at that jacket of Paul's just a little more closely and just take a look at the brand name that's there just above the sheaf of papers he's carrying. And let's take a closer look at that brand name. Kathmandu. Right, you know, because Paul stands in absolute solidarity with the workers, as we know, as an eco-socialist. One of those going to run you a good €300, dollars, whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, way to go. I've heard champagne socialist, but I've never heard the allegation, jacket socialist, designer jacket socialist. But, hey, this is the world you're in, when you're earning this kind of money, folks. That's €101,000 basic salary and expenses. So when you're pulling in that kind of money, you can afford to have these kinds of opinions because you ain't going to suffer for the consequences of holding these kinds of opinions, are you? Somebody else is. In fact, here's a good recommendation. I mean, you could have spent €20 on a plain black funnel neck puffer coat in Primark. I'm sure your own constituents will, and it's not a bad idea. One of those could really help you not freeze to death during the coming winter, and 2020 is quite good value for such a jacket. I mean, there's one in in Liffey Valley shopping centres, and it's in your own constituency, dude. You could have gone there, and for $20 instead, you go off and spend below 300 and something on this thing. Hey, for €48, you could have bought yourself in Primark a hooded long parka. Total street cred, dude. Instead, you blow it all on this BS. Yeah, it's the beautiful truth. At 7 p.m. on the 5th of the 9th, and I am PISSED. I've just had enough of this. And then to cap it all, the news that the government has brought back in a new position in the cabinet, the Minister for Hardship. This is a position not seen since the dark days of 80s austerity. The Minister for Hardship is back, and the first announcement from the Minister for Hardship is the return of the Glimmer Man. What's the Glimmer Man, you say? I'll let the Minister explain it to you.
This kindly individual will break into your house when you least expect him to see if you're using too much electricity, and if not, why not? The electricity will be twice as dear if you don't use 3 times as much. I have also ordered the reintroduction of ration books and coupons. We had them during the last emergency. And take care not to lose them. You'll need them to get whatever is going to be rationed, which will be practically everything.
Eamon Morrissey there in his classic Hall's Pictorial Weekly 1980s. Minister for Hardship is coming back. And speaking of Minister for Hardship, you see, this dude here, Eamon Ryan of the Green Party, is the Energy Minister in Ireland. And just like in Germany, where Greens managed to get themselves into a position where their votes were needed for government, they have an arm lock on energy policy. And this is why Paul Murphy, I don't care about, this dude here is the dangerous one. Because he, Murphy and the others are totally hardcore. But there is an alternative to mass unemployment, to the meltdown, to the energy. There is an alternative, which Europe itself has already approved, for example, and that's to deploy both nuclear and gas. Europe voted that nuclear, because we can handle the waste now, and gas, because it's so clean, were acceptable green energy sources. Not for this guy, not for Paul Murphy, not for somebody who has an arm lock on government policy now as energy minister. No, they're doubling down instead. So this is the problem we have. Now, at a European level, and for example in the United Kingdom, they're going ahead with nuclear. Paul Murphy not interested. This guy here, Eamon Ryan, not interested. Nuclear in the United Kingdom, for example, they're going to roll out 1 nuclear reactor a year. They're going to mass manufacture small nuclear reactors rather than these big gargantuan projects that used to be the modus operandi in the past. No, small scale, safe, locally situated nuclear reactors are the new way, and because you're mass manufacturing them in a custom plant, it really gets efficient from a price point of view. That's just one example. And another example of the lunacy involved here is that even as this pseudo here, the man in the Kathmandu jacket, is proposing these policies to you, and Eamon Ryan backing him up, in California, for example, right now, they're asking people not to plug their electric cars into the grid because the grid can't handle it because of the energy shortage issue. There you're seeing it all come together, aren't you? The stupidity of these approaches, how badly thought out all this is, because energy security is what it's all about now. To have a gasoline-based transportation system that's independent of an electricity-based manufacturing and heating system, right? And then gas coming through pipes for home heating. This diversifies your energy sources so you're not too dependent on any one. And in the era where raw earth minerals and other vitals for electric cars are anyway in the hands of nations who may well decide to follow suit and cut us off from supply, as is happening to us right now, it means we can't invest in those technologies any longer. It's always going to remain a small and useful portion of our investment in spreading out our energy infrastructure. So this mass conversion idea is dead in the water. Dead in the water. It's all over now. And so there needs to be a new era of realism. It was the job of government in the first place. And what to plan for all this and make sure this didn't happen and not get carried with harebrained ideas that don't pan out in the long term. And others who came before him, all of them are responsible for walking us into this. And you think they'd back out? You think these people would back down? No. They're doubling down, not backing down. We need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of these policies. Hopefully, the planet is warming. It would be great news if it was. Hopefully, CO2 levels will continue to rise. It's fantastic they are. They've been so low for so long, we're desperate for it. But they say temperatures have never been this high. Really? You mean back in the warm medieval period when they were growing grapes in the south of England, temperatures weren't that high? Pull the other one, will you, you morons? It doesn't require more than a whit of common sense and a tiny bit of research to figure out that all this alarmism was actually part of an intelligence operation which was designed to lure us into precisely this situation. Now the rest of the world has broken free. The BRICS nations have broken free of this bankster cartel. But the bankster cartel would like to turn the developed nations now into the new serfs. And in particular, the United States would like to deploy both intelligence assets to steer us down stupid energy routes in Europe and also to prevent us from competing and to engineer a war designed to prevent us from having access to cheap Russian energy. This is geopolitical. I don't know what role these guys are playing, cognizant or ignorant, but I do know it's a disaster and one we don't need and don't have to face. We unfortunately now, because the rest of the world has us over a barrel, the BRICS nations, the Saudis, and all the oil producers, the OPEC Plus, they've all done an OPEC again, like happened in the 70s, except on steroids now. The bankster cartel, it's great news, has lost control of most of the world, but the fallout for that, if we don't defend ourselves, will be severe on us. That's it for this edition of The Beautiful Truth. I'll be back with more. How did I know about the brownouts in California? Well, I knew about it because this WhatsApp group here is where I got the information from one of our members who's in California and passed us on that info. The last final irony of it all. And if you'd like to join us there, just fintondunn.com/WhatsApp, enter, and that'll take you to a page where you can just, if you have WhatsApp, click the link and you into the group. And we welcome information you might care to share with us there. The same thing works with the Telegram group. Just use a similar link. That's it for this edition. I will be back with more soon on other topics. I'm definitely wired on this one. But it's real. I hope you'll join me soon for the next edition. But in the meantime, for breakfornews.com, this has been Fintan Dunn reporting. Thanks for joining me. See you soon.